So this is the beauty of the conscious. So is you can hear the information and then God just leaves it up to you as to what you're going to do about it. All right? So when I first asked God, does God exist? God didn't go, yes, I exist and you can have a relationship with me and you can, that's not what I heard. What I heard was, yes, I exist. And then I had to ponder about, okay, if God exists, then what if I can have a relationship with God? That would be good. If God exists and God could tell me things, that would be good. So I started asking questions. Do you want to tell me things? Yes. Okay. What do I need to do now? Is work out what things I want to hear about. What do I want to, what truths do I want to hear? So that caused me to go, okay, what about, is God going to share things? Can God share things with me? Like, yes. Okay. Can you see it's like the more yes or no questions I asked, it led to more yes or no questions. and then in the process of doing that, it was like yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, led me down a labyrinth, if you like, of to the point where I got to the point of saying, is there something unique in you that I can receive that no one's ever received? And the answer to that question was yes. So this got me wondering, what is that thing? What is that thing that I could receive that no one's ever received on earth, like on this earth? And I was, that was like months of just thinking about it and, what is it? What would it be? And then I started looking at happiness on earth and I started questioning when people are happy and when they're unhappy. And I started realising that love seemed to be the thing that made people happy. And then I was thinking about, but nobody seems to be happy with God. They're all terrified of God and they're all, if not upset with God, they're in a conflict with God a lot. And then I started wondering whether it's love from God that is the thing. So I ask. And that's the first time I received God's love. And, a big feeling for me, receiving it right in that moment. That was the first time that I had a conscious awareness. And now I later learned from God that I'd already received some and I didn't really know. But that was the first time that I received some and I knew what it was that I was receiving. And that just had a huge effect on me. It still does when I think about it now, Had a huge effect on me because it caused me to realise, there's this... And with the love came other feelings too, like approval sort of feelings. Like, this is the direction you need to take type of feelings. And this helped me even determine what my desire in life was and everything. And I didn't know at the time that I would be the very first person that I was now. I knew I was the very first person to receive it, but I didn't know the significance of that either at that time. I was just happy that I'd received it. So, and what that did is it allowed me then to go, can I receive more? Yes, and how does the mechanism of it all work? Now I'm starting to ask non-yes or no questions, and also actually receiving now packets of information. This is how it works. And then what I had to do is put my feelings of how it works into words, and that's how I termed the term Holy Spirit, the mechanism, the conduit that via which we receive love. And then I started to realise that conduit only became open when I was in a state of truth, a sincere desire for it. And this is how, so now I was not only learning for myself how it all worked, but now I was also trying to work out, well, how can I share this with others? Because it's wonderful, right? So then I had to come up with terminology, which is still used in the celestial heavens today, the same terminology. I'm not always it's not as descriptive perhaps as I'd like, but language is difficult. When you have emotions, turning emotion into language is quite hard, right? So it took a while for me to come up with terms that people could understand and we could teach. But that's the process I went through. It started with the conscience. You follow? And eventually coming to trust that God wanted to share every truth with me. Yeah?